Hello everyone and welcome to A Slice of My Life. This is video 2 out of 3. Well, kind of unofficial, so unofficially video 2 out of 3 of this batch of 3 spinners that Roy from Spin Scene has sent to me for review. This also is a loaner and it is also a spinner made by FEGVE. It is known as the Titanium Eye Spinner and this one is a limited edition spinner. Right here is the numbering. There are a total of 500 made and this is number 53. I actually spent about 4 days with this and the strongest impression I have of this is that it is a super light spinner. It is so light that it feels like it's plastic. I'm gonna bring this closer to the camera because I want you guys to notice that there's this little white thing here in that slot and I'll explain what that is in a while, but trust me, it is not a defect. Don't worry. And the weights are stainless steel weights. These are 304 stainless steel. And I believe that the buttons are also made in titanium. But look at the overall finish. It's very nice. First of all, you have this very beautifully brushed outer edge over here. This whole outer edge is all brushed, but then the flats itself, or I should say the sides of the spinner, they are mirror finish. And you can see by the super crazy reflection. The thing you gotta take note about mirror finish is that it is very beautiful, but it is also a fingerprint magnet. And at the same time, any kind of little scratches will be even more obvious and easier to spot. So you guys can see that there are quite a lot of scratches and these were not caused by me. These were already on the spinner itself when I received it. But you know, this piece was loaned to me, so I believe that this is Roy's personal piece and I think that he's put it on his EDC for quite a while. The fact that it's got all these scratches and everything means that it's very well used and I can see why. It's a very comfortable spinner even though it is super light. It being a titanium spinner, it being super light and it being in this particular shape, you know, this shape is not really meant for long spins. You're not really getting a long spin. You're getting a very fast, very smooth spin. Yes, for sure. But the most I can get out of it is 1.5 minutes. The very most. And I believe that you could increase spin times if you change out these weights for tungsten weights. That would increase your spin time, but I don't think it'll do a lot. Just maybe by about 30 seconds tops. That's what I assume. But regarding the spin, you guys can see it is spinning very beautifully. Very nice reflection. You get kind of like a 2-ring reflection because of the stainless steel weights, but at the same time if you twist it a little bit you'll see a nice bending light. That's because of the shape of this side over here. These are actually kind of like concaved in, so I really like it. See how it actually gives you some very interesting light reflections because of the shape. So I thought that was really cool. I wanted to point that out to you guys. Anyway, let's talk about the buttons and the bearings. So let's get the buttons off the body first of all. And we immediately reveal that it has a 688 bearing in the core and it is closed in by the FEGVE standard locking style. All the markings and all that, so trademark of FEGVE right now. Look at that. Open, lock, FEGVE design 688. Now, let's talk about the buttons. And I believe that these buttons are also in titanium. They feel a little bit too light to be stainless steel and they're definitely not aluminum. So I'm going to assume that it is titanium. First of all, very comfortable buttons. I am actually quite surprised. I didn't expect that such a flat button would be comfortable like that. But I guess the spiral design really helps. Yes, it's a spiral. And there are dimples right in the middle, so that's actually a point where you can actually put a pointed object in the balance, but I don't think you should do that because this spinner is really light. On the flip side, they are dedicated buttons, so they are turned separately and I like this kind of button closure, not the one with the set screw in the middle, and they are laser etched 688 number 3, and that just gives more weight to my assumption that these are numbered by the spinner body design itself by FEGVE. Now I'm going to talk about the coolest thing about this spinner, and in order to do that I have to first remove the bearing from the spinner, so let's go. Remove the cap, pop the bearing out, and then we can remove the weights, which is something that you guys already know simply because it's not the first spinner design that features moving weights inside. But remember earlier on I talked about that little white thing in the corner? Now you'll see that there are some slots on the inside. See that? Let me just try and get the light right there. See that slot? We've got 4 slots, 2 on each side. And what was in there is something known as a glow dot. Look at that. It is a little solid dot of, I have no idea what material this is, but it is a glow dot. And you can get these glow dots at the Spin Scene Big Cartel website, which I will link in the video description below as well, if you're interested in getting this spinner as well as glow dots. Now these actually are 3mm by 3mm glow dots and they fit into these slots perfectly. That was what Roy actually included in this because he wanted me to just share with everyone that this is actually possible, and that is one of the gimmicks of this particular spinner, and I thought it was really cool. All you gotta do is just slide it in and then it goes in all the way. Now you're gonna fill it up with more than one glow dot. I think that this would probably take about 3 glow dots per side, but in comparison to Trit's, glow dots are way more affordable. So it's a very nice addition to this spinner, and I never even thought about having glow dots in there. Of course, you can slot in tritium vials in there, but I don't know if there are any Trits that are about maybe 3mm by 9mm. I'm not so sure. I'm not a Trit master. We gotta check with Vince for that. But yeah, that was a really nice touch to this spinner and very unique because I've never seen any other spinner have the same thing. Thought I would share that with you guys. So of course, with the removable weight system, you can choose to have either 2 or 1 or no weights at all on each side. You can even kind of have an off balance, so it's an uneven weighted spinner. I mean, whatever floats your boat, but I'm just gonna put these back. And because of this design, it just doesn't drop out like other spinners do. Some other spinners just have the weight just wanting to fall out all the time, but this just has a little grip right at the end, so that's actually very nicely done. Very precise. Good job to FEGVE for doing this, because I think that this kind of control and QC is not easy. I'm just putting everything back in right now and installing these bearings back in place. Now, the thing about it is a very nice pressed fit here in the core, and I don't even know why they needed this, but I don't even know what's happening. I don't know how the bearing's being held in. Feels like a pressed fit right at the end. So maybe I think that the threads actually go maybe about 3/4 all the way down, and the last quarter actually hugs the bearing itself. So it's a very nice touch because, you know, it's 2 layers of security for the bearing, and this prevents bearing wobble, and I think that that's a very nice touch. So again, very good QC, very good machining work, very good production by FEGVE. I'm actually pretty blown away by the precision showed in this particular small little spinner. Grab my bearing tool, and I need to just close up this cap right here, then grab the buttons, and we are back in business. Now I'm going to talk a little bit more about the buttons because I only briefly talked about it. Look at the design over here, and it's got very nice, what is this called? Knurling? Or a pattern on the outside. Okay, I'm just gonna call it a pattern. It's got a very nice pattern outside, and actually the inner edges here are not sharp at all because they have already been chamfered inwards, but because they are actually narrower than the body itself, you will never ever feel it rubbing against your hand. It's really smooth, and this grip works really well, partly because this spinner is a light spinner, but maybe if it was made in a different material like tungsten, for example, because I don't think stainless steel will make that much of a difference, but tungsten's really heavy, then when you give it a good strong flick, you might feel like the spinner wants to fly out of your hand because the buttons are actually kind of flat. They do have a little raised lip out here, but it is really curved, so it's just really smooth. But this button works really well with this spinner. The design, the weight, everything just goes really well, and wow, it's one of the spinners that I don't have to actually clamp down quite hard. You know how for some spinners you actually find yourself applying a lot of pressure when you're holding the buttons like that before you actually start to fidget with it? This one, no. In the case of this spinner, all you gotta do is just lightly hold it and you can just flick away. Now we're talking about flicking, let's talk about fidgetability of this spinner. This spinner actually performs very well in terms of preloaded flicks. The edge over here is super comfortable, very rounded, conducive for preloaded flicks. I'm really enjoying preloaded flicks on this spinner. But when we're talking about forward flicks, I don't really like it because this curve just goes upwards like that. I find myself applying pressure inwards towards the buttons with my middle finger in order to get a good grip so I can give it a good forward flick. So I'm going to change my grip up to the middle finger and thumb grip, and I find the same thing happening to my 4th finger, but because it is so light, I just find myself just flicking forward and back in rapid succession like that, rather than trying to give it a good strong flick. With the index finger, that's a little bit different. You guys saw how I kind of missed that flick. If you land on the side right here and you try and pull back, because it's so smooth and it's curving downwards, you're not going to get a good backward pull. I missed it again. So if you land anywhere from here to here, you're not going to get a nice backward flick. But for forward flicks, it's not so bad. But you have to make sure you pull it back all the way till it's at this point. Then you can give it a good forward flick. But if you land on the top, then yeah, that's really good for pulls, not pushes, see? Yep, that's the fidgetability of this guy. I would say the fidgetability is a 6 out of 10. Not the most fidgetable spinner. It does feel comfortable, but it takes a lot of getting used to. And that's about it, guys. So let's end the video. This is the FEGVE Titanium Eye. Limited units made, 500 pieces in total, and it costs $160. And if you're interested, you can get it at Spin Scene. Make sure you check the links below. Now, I don't know how to appreciate titanium very much, and I don't know how to appreciate this kind of machining and this kind of finish. So personally, I think $160 is a little bit too expensive for a small spinner like this. But if you are a collector, then you're going to find value in this because there's only 500 made. And it is a very unique spinner because, yes, it looks like an eye, very different shape here, and you can fit in glow dots. Just like that, no glue required, nothing. It's got removable weights, very nicely turned buttons in titanium as well. So basically, it's got a lot of good things going for it, but it is not really in my taste, unfortunately. I'm not here to bash a product. If I don't like it, I just say that I don't like it. It's not my taste, but I still will share the strong points and the unique factors with you guys about any spinner. And in particular, this spinner, it has a lot of unique points, a lot of different things that sets it apart from other spinners, and it is a very unique, one-of-a-kind piece. Overall, my experience with the titanium eye was not a bad one, but the design doesn't really appeal to me. I liked fidgeting with it, only in some ways, but I had to get used to it first. And I was trying to learn to appreciate the machining over here because it's very, very well finished. Like even the cuts over here, the small little slots like that, they're all very nicely rounded. So there's absolutely no sharp edges at all. That's really another strong point that I'm going to share with you guys about this spinner. Once again, a big thank you to Roy of Spin Scene for loaning this to me for review. I believe that this is Roy's personal piece. It's been very well used and I can see why. It is actually a very fun spinner, beautiful reflections made by it. And you can see that I'm just constantly giving it preloaded flicks because I find it the most comfortable doing that. If you are interested, like I said again, check the links in the video description below, guys. It is not a long spinner, very, very light, fully titanium, got a lot going for it, nice dual finish kind of thing. And maybe, just maybe, I provided enough information for you guys to decide whether or not the titanium eye by FEGVE is a spinner for you. Thanks for watching, everyone. And that's about it for this slice of my life. I think it's time for me to get to work. Catch y'all soon in the next slice of my life, and thanks for watching. Bye!